Hi there. You might be able to recognize this exact scene here, as I have posted this about a week ago on the subreddit. And as there were some questions about how I went about making it, being the design part or the technical aspects of these buttons here, I thought I'd make a short little video going over some of the aspects to help you either better your own landing page or maybe even create your first one. I sincerely hope it is understandable enough and my instructions aren't too convoluted or unclear. And if you have any questions about anything, I would be very happy to answer them either via mail or via your comments on this video or any way you'd like. I would be very happy to help you out. And from there, let's jump into it. Without going too deep into the territory of me rambling about how I made every little step about this landing page, I'm just going to show you two things that should be very important, and I would recommend you do too, which is firstly um, some sort of document, either handwritten or in a Word document, where you write out what you want on your landing page and where you want it. And adding to that, nope, not this one yet. Adding to that, a little flowchart on how and where exactly uh, what you want on your landing page is located. For example, for me it is, I have my main landing page with branches out into the maps, which branches out into two maps, and character, which also branches out from landing page, which branches out into a multitude of characters, these sort of things. This might not be the thing for you. Maybe you all want it on one landing page and that's it, which is completely fine. But if you do it branching out, I would very much recommend you writing it down somewhere so you don't get confused if you maybe take a break or something, or if you have to look over the structure at some later date. The next step after you've decided on the information you want on your landing page should be uh, the question of how you want to design it. You can obviously do this in very many ways. You can just start doing whatever, just throwing some stuff together in Photoshop. But I would recommend on seeking some inspiration, which can be done through the internet. For example, if you Google D&D opening pages, you have a multitude of things you can you can take as inspiration as well. If you Google something like video game, a fantasy video game opening screen, menu screen, something like that, and I've picked some out that might be of inspiration. The Oblivion screen would be something I would maybe take. This one looks quite good. This one is a little bit more stylized, but maybe that's something for you. Skyrim is also a great example for use. Dragon Age Origins makes a pretty good one. And here are some, I'd say, more traditional, at least for D&D games, which are like the map, a book, and the characters on a wooden table, which is quite repeated, but obviously works very well, which is maybe the reason why it is repeated quite as often. But in the end, it's pretty much up to you whatever you want. I would just advise to just look around, search for things that you like, that visually please you, and that also fit within the vision you want to convey your information in, and just go on from that. For me personally, it was the Witcher opening screen. You might yeah, see the resemblance. It is, yeah, pretty much a carbon copy in many points, not even some. And yeah, I liked it so much that I pretty much copied it, and it's really no shame in that. And if you find something that you like, may it be the Skyrim page or this little page, I don't know the name, don't crucify me please, or this page, just take it and copy it one for one. I'm pretty sure your players won't really notice and won't really care that much either, which is in general running theme. I've noticed players tend to overlook smaller details or even bigger details which you worry about too much. Going from there, your next step is putting your design together in any graphic software of your choosing. If you're completely new to the field, I would recommend you getting GIMP, GIMP, which is a free software which is pretty widely used. You can find a lot of tutorials out there, either teaching you how to do things, or if you don't know something, just write it out in Google or YouTube, and you will probably find a helpful tutorial on it, on how to do it. And as there are a lot of ways you can do it, I obviously can't really go into the detail on how to create it in general. I can only show how I did it myself, which isn't that complicated in the end of the day, as it's just a background image with a black bar overlaid with some text, as well as the Dungeons and Dragons logo. The most complicated part of this exact scene is probably the button, which is its own layer, which I just copy and put into a new file, which is the dimensions I need, and remove the background to then export to use as the image of a tile later on. If you want to do a button like I did on my landing page, you probably have to do something similar as well. Create a button shape layout you like, and from there export it as its own little image, so you don't have to export like if you want a button for this, putting the button on each of the little things. I can't quite, yeah, like not having to export it for this and this as well. Just make it its own thing, so it becomes much easier. If you want to use my exact layout, my exact design, I have attached these Photoshop files under the video, so you can use them and, yeah, I don't know, change out the background, do something else that is more fitting for your campaign, or change out the logo. Maybe you're running a Pathfinder campaign, and obviously these have to be probably changed around to your language. These are all text files and can be easily edited to whatever you want. So feel free on doing this, and if you have any questions, just let me know. And if you don't have the font, it's Mongolian byte here, so you can just look it up and download it. Same is with these. You have things are all here. Just remember that when you export them, turn off the effect, as it is only used for the hover over effect, as you can see here. You have to export these little ones independently as well. That just means you have to copy this group, make a new file, clipboard sized, post it in there, turn off the background and export them as well, so you can use them as tiles later. If you want to change out the maps, it is also quite easy. Just take whatever map you have and remember to, I hope this translates well to other graphic software as well. I can't guarantee that sadly, but remember in Photoshop use something like luminosity and opacity, change these around and yeah, to make sure it retains the feeling, but you will probably also be right to just completely change these two to whatever fits your theme most. Same thing with characters. If you want to, well, I don't actually want, yeah. If you need to change anything here, these are just icons I found online. I'll attach the whole batch of items of icons for the different classes, so you can just change them around. I had to recolor them in the color of the D&D symbol, but this should be quite easy to do. If not, there is probably a tutorial that can help you. If you want to change something around here as well, it's again a text layer. The logo can be removed or changed, and the background as well. I also have a little darkening layer on here. You don't have to add it, but I like it as it kind of highlights these little icons here. And on here we also have the little arrow, which is also an object that has to be exported manually in its red form. Usually it should be white, but I have already changed it to red on here. But it's the same as the maps or the little buttons. Just copy them and export them as their own objects. But I have also attached them probably to the files under the video. Yeah, same with this page here. It's the character page. It's the same effect as for the maps or anything else. I have done this with every character in its different sizes. Just copy it over, change it how you need. The figures were done with Hero Forge, and I recommend you use some similar tool, as it's quite easy for players to use and to create the feel for their characters that they feel fits them best. And yeah, you can just use them however you want. This file also has been attached uh, uh, to the files under the video. Just use them however you see fit. Alright, getting to the highlight and probably the main point of this video, creating the layout of the landing page in the technical sense, as well as those funny little hover over buttons. First off, obviously for your landing page you need a scene for each of your little sub screens. Like I have a scene for the landing page, then there's a scene for characters, and then for each of the little players there's a little scene. And you just have to create them at the beginning, so you don't have to create them on the fly. And from there on you can go on with creating the links between. And something to remember I have just forgot to add is make sure that the images you use for your different scenes in general, but also for your landing page, aren't too big. This is just for performance reasons. I host my game from my own computer, so I have to make sure that the upload size is not too big, so my players can actually see these pages without having to endure a 10-minute loading screen. So I recommend not going above 1020, 1080 in size, except maybe something for like maps where detail is important. Like here, if you went 1020, 1080, you probably couldn't see all those little cities and stuff. So only go above this if truly necessary. In every other case, stick with 1020 and to 1080, and also try to remember to keep it JPEGs or web pictures, WebP, and don't go PNGs, as PNGs will bloat this file size and not add that much image quality. Alright, getting to the hover over buttons now. As you could probably tell by now, these are tiles, and for this to work you need to have the module monks active tiles installed, as it enables the interactions between tiles that is necessary for all of this to work. And as you can probably also see, each of these little buttons consists of 3 different tiles, and to deconstruct one of these little are just three times the same, but with different purposes. One of these is the so-called click button. Um, which uses the interaction of the player clicking on it to make something happen. Maybe it is the scene change, or maybe you want some part of the map to be shown, whatever it be. And this would be this one, and in its window, in its setup window, in which you get by just double clicking it, you use the click when click here, and also probably, I haven't done this here yet, but also allow when paused, and probably also make a hover over pointer and trigger using image instead of border, depending on your kind of image you're using. And you do all of these, and then your preferred action, which in my case is toggling a tile, but can also be a scene change, which would be here, somewhere. Yes, change scene or whatever. Maybe maybe it resets the fog of war. Maybe it does whatever. Uh, but probably it is just showing a tile, and this is the purpose of the click part of the button. Then we have these two little, which are just there to be able to create a hover over effect. One of these has the purpose to show the click button, and one has to hide it. And these just work with on the setup with hover in. Also probably allow when paused, and yeah, hover over pointer is not necessary. And also, oh no, sorry, hover in. Then on actions you use show. Then you select an entity. You use this little button and select it, and it should automatically use the tile that you want. You click on update tile, and it should work. On the hide, you obviously go on hover out and also scene change, but I have noticed that this is broken sometimes. Like on some buttons it works, on some it doesn't. I don't really know why it doesn't work, but just know that it might not work, and you don't have to spend agonizing hours as I did myself to figure it out. It's probably just broken. Also allow when paused. Same thing as with the show. You just instead of show you make hide on show hide. Same with yeah targeting it. You just update, and you have a button. If you don't know how to create these tiles, and yeah, also try to make them align properly, and which you can do by using the X and Y coordinates. I try to keep at least the buttons that are shown on roughly the same orientation towards the text, but as I said beforehand, players probably won't notice if it's 1 or 2 pixels too far to the left or to the right, or too far up or down. They probably won't notice, as they will probably be somewhere around here using it, and from here you can't really see it. Let me show it on here. You can't really see it. So don't make too much of a fuss about it. They probably won't even notice. Now, if you have never really made a tile before, it's also quite easy. You just go on tiles right here. Then you go on place tiles and just show in whatever. And then from there on you go to uh, the tile setup page, and you have the width and height in pixels right here. And then you go to your folder where you have your different little files for your different little tiles that we have exported earlier. You right click your file, go on settings, it's probably in English right at the bottom here, then on details, and there you have your width and height, which in this case is 64 by 58. So you just go to Foundry 65 width, height 58. Then you go to your tile and image importer. You can either upload it into the user folder or just, I think this is something that's possible without any modules too. You can just drag and drop it right here. You can just select this file, create the tile, and you have your tile right there. And from there on, yeah, you just go on exactly how I described right here. You just take this one, copy it 3 times. You go here, triggers, click, allow and post, hover over pointer, actions. I don't know. Let's make a scene change scene um, to to Karten, which is maps in German, if you don't know. You can also choose if you want to activate it, but for your landing page, I would recommend not adding this one. You update it, you change these two to be hidden. And from there on, you go again to trigger. You go on this one for hover in, allow and post, actions, show and hide. This one should be show. Update, same one over here. Hover out and scene change, allow and post, actions, again show and hide. This one hide. Alright. And now just put them loosely over another. Doesn't have to be perfect, as only one of those will be seen by your players. And there we have our little hover over button, done in about 10 seconds. So it's, as you can see, it's really quite easy. Probably what took me the longest was figuring out that scene change doesn't necessarily work. And the hard part is just copying it over and over again for each of these, and yeah, coming up with a design and everything. But once you've done all the necessary steps for that, it should become quite easy and pretty much a walk in the park. But again, I've added all the files I've used on this little project, of this little landing page, underneath the video. So if you just want to copy them and at least skip over the design process, you are free to do so. And yeah, going on from there, I've also, you have noticed probably by now some little other designs which are just some modules and some light effects right here, which is just stuff you can do. You can just learn by trying it out. This is just some animation swirling fog. It's all just trying different things out in the end of the day, and you will probably be fine with it. Also, something I just remembered is, if you create these scenes, remember to keep when you create them, that on lighting you have token vision disabled, so the whole scene is visible. Also, I would very much recommend this scene to be always visible to your players. And I would also very much recommend getting a module that I think it's also called log view, and for every scene have these enabled. And maybe you can talk about these ones, like if you don't want if you want your players to be able to access this bar on your landing page, I would leave this disabled. But these 4 make it so that it fills out the whole screen and looks pretty much like a video game when you're playing it in full screen, which is how I recommend it to my players to be played. So yeah, this is pretty much it. If you have any questions about it, please let me know in the comments or somewhere else, and I am happy. I hope I was able to help you in any way. And thanks for watching.